On this edition of Lakeville City Limits, we take a look back at ice harvesting on Lake Marion and learn how residents kept their food cold before the days of electricity. Next, I talk with building official Gene Abbott about building inspections and how the increase in new construction is affecting the department. And finally, we'll take a look at some of the computer classes offered at the Heritage Center. Hello, I'm City Administrator Steve Melke. Welcome to City Limits, Lakeville's public information program. To start off today's show, we'll take a look back at the process of harvesting ice from Lake Marion in another edition of History Moment.
My grandfather, Carl Kraus, back in the early 1900s, around 1915, saw an opportunity to harvest ice out at Lake Marion. The lake was there and the necessity was there, so there wasn't electricity around, so there was no refrigeration as such. So they needed to refrigerate their food and their milk and everything. And in the winter, he was not working as a carpenter as much, and he saw the opportunity to harvest ice. First, they would cut it with like a big buzzsaw, and it was hooked up to, he had a Model A truck that they hooked it up to a truck, and they would cut it almost all the way through except for about the last 2 inches, and that they would leave because they would want to walk on it. They didn't want it floating, and then the last couple inches they would cut with hand saws, and then they would load them onto basically a big sleigh that was made, and originally they used horse to pull the sleighs, and then they used trucks, and then they would haul it into town where he would store it in a barn. The barn was by McClintock's store, which is basically kind of behind where it'd be west of the VFW, basically in that area. There was a barn there that he rented, and then they would stack it in the barn, pack it all in sawdust. They had to take their time how they packed it, because that was the most important part, because if you didn't pack it tight and correctly, it wouldn't last as long, so they didn't want any air to get to it. Generally, once it started to warm up where people then needed it, in the winter, obviously it wouldn't need as much, or they'd get their own, but in the summer months, he would take it out of the barn, and depends on where it was going. One of the big account he had was with the creamery, and they had like box cars of butter going out of there almost daily that they had to supply ice to refrigerate the butter. And then he would also deliver it to saloons and also homes in town, and they would get the ice and put it on a wagon, and they'd go through town, and whoever, they'd have their accounts that they would stop, and he would, like for a home, he would stop and whatever she would want as far as size, he would cut that approximate size, and then he would dip it in ice or water to clean it off, and then try and get it to the right size so it would fit up in their ice box, and then they would bring him to inside the house and put it in the ice box for him. And also I was told that one big treat for the kids were they would chase the wagon around trying to get the slivers of ice that would fall off in the summer. That was kind of a treat for them, and he really enjoyed the kids coming around following the wagon around. I believe he was getting about 50 cents per 100 pounds of ice at that time. And the workers, they would get like $1 a day for their labor. So at that time it wasn't, seemed like a lot of money, but it was actually to them. Vincent Wren made the sleighs that they used, and he also used some of his trucks later in the year when they used more trucks than horses, but Vincent helped Grandpa with that a lot, and he wasn't, they weren't in business together or anything like that, but they just kind of partners working together. It was quite a necessity for a lot of people. Then you take it kind of for granted now, but then it was quite a complex thing just to get some ice, really, and a lot of work just to get a little to keep your food from rotting.
So, you're out for an evening of ice fishing all by yourself. You don't have a care in the world. Well, you were thinking about catching the big one. You didn't notice the hole in the ice and you fell into the frigid water. Now your clothes are wet, heavy, and you can't seem to climb out. Soon hypothermia, the lowering of your inner core temperature, will begin, and you can't see anybody to help. What are you gonna do? This message provided by your local public safety and fire departments.
Joining me today is Gene Abbott, the building official here in the city. Gene, thanks for joining me on City Limits.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You're the building official for the city of Lakeville. Tell me what your job entails.
Well, the building official is basically the director and overseer of all the inspection staff that's here. Through our office, we issue, building permits, electrical permits, plumbing, mechanical permits, and then we do appropriate inspections on those permit that are issued, through the city. So I kind of oversee that whole department and, put together a budget for the year and going forward.
I know I hear from people every now and then, they kind of question what the purpose is behind the inspections and the codes. Why is there a building code and a fire code and all of those different codes for construction?
Well, number one is the safety of our residents, as well as those that come into the businesses, business owners. These codes are developed on a state level, and they are required. So what we do is we do inspections to make sure that all the projects are done in accordance with those safety standards.
And are those intended to increase the quality of the housing, or is it minimum standards to make sure that there's minimum safety in place?
Well, the codes are minimum standards, and those are the ones that we inspect to. So there's a baseline for what our housing stock and commercial buildings, what standards they have to comply with. And again, the number one is the safety of the residents and business owners. And then also property protection, when we get into fire sprinklers and so on of commercial projects.
So I've got to assume, because housing starts are up, that you're going to be a lot busier now than you were perhaps a couple of years ago.
Yeah, last year was a very busy year for us, having done almost 400 housing units for the city. We anticipate that much, maybe a little bit more. It all depends on the economy, but we're seeing through the development phases that there's quite a bit of single-family homes that are being developed, and so we're kind of anticipating another busy year.
So what does that mean in terms of staffing, or in terms of time required for getting permits and getting inspections?
Well, it's both. We try to stay within a standard that we've set. When we brought contractors together, they told us what kind of standard they'd like us to have, inspections to be able to come out on a 24-hour basis, issuing permits through our office in a timely manner. That all has effect on contractors and their business, so we want to stay within that standard. And then we have so much time to do a certain inspection, so we're busting at the seams right now and going forward.
So who actually pulls the permit when work is being done? I assume on a new home that's pretty easy. The contractor that's going to build the home generally pulls the permit, but what about home repairs or basement remodelings and those kinds of things?
Well, the homeowner can pull the permit if they wish. We always advise that the person doing the work or the company doing the work should pull the permit, because whoever pulls the permit is responsible that work is done in accordance with the different codes that we have to enforce. So we strongly advise that the person doing the work pull the permit, but homeowners can do that.
And if the homeowner pulls the permit and they're responsible and there's a problem, then what happens?
Well, they're our contact person. that we go to, you know, if there's a correction order that needs to be done. So they're the ones that are responsible to make sure it gets corrected and it's built appropriately.
Do you provide any advice to homeowners on contractors or how they go about finding a contractor to do work?
Well, contractors have to be licensed through the state, so that's a good start, is to make sure that they're licensed. Also, I would advise homeowners to get some referrals from them, like their last 3 or 4 jobs if they've worked on, and call those referrals and just talk to other homeowners or you know, neighbors, things like that to make sure that they're a reputable company.
So does the department offer any advice on do-it-yourselfers, things that people can do themselves? Do you offer any advice on how to accomplish decks or basements or other kinds of homeowner projects?
Yes, we have a lot of handouts that are available at our counter on our website. You know, deck handout, lower level handout, shed handout, garage handout. That kind of explains the whole procedure and process to obtaining a permit, and then also what required inspections are required by the state building code. And so that's kind of a good start. And obviously we're there for any questions that homeowners have as well. They can call in and talk to an inspector or myself, and we can walk them through the process.
So we've been talking primarily about residential, but commercial is another area where businesses have to obtain permits. What are you seeing happening in that realm?
Majority of the commercial permits are pulled by the contractors, and the contractors we have really good contractors here with commercial, industrial, and they're fully aware of what's needed and what's required. So we have a good working relationship with our contractors out there and working with them on getting these projects completed. So we see them applying for the permits and then also getting the proper inspections and final inspections and that. So that has been very positive here.
Gene, if people have questions about inspections or permitting, how might they get a hold of your department or learn about this?
Again, they could go on the website, they can email the department, and then I get all the emails, and then I would give them, you know, to our mechanical plumbing inspector or electrical inspector if there's questions there. Or they can call our department as well, you know, for a general question, and then our staff will get that to the right person to answer any questions that come
And if
up.
they wanted to actually call the department, what's the phone number?
It's 952-985-4440, and you'll get our front office staff, and you can chat with them, and then they'll get you to the right person.
Gene, I appreciate you being here on City Limits, and especially to your department for keeping our homes safe.
Thank you.
Did you know that Lakeville had more residential construction permits than any other city in the metro area in 2013? Lakeville had 365 residential construction permits recorded for 2013, an increase of 40% over 2012. And the strong housing market continues, with several new developments being approved this winter, ready to break ground in the spring.
Hi, I'm Elwood McFarland, and I have blue thumbs. If you want to create beautiful gardens to help keep our water clean, join us for a free Blue Thumb presentation. You can see dozens of inspirational and affordable garden designs that integrate native plants and clean our water. You might even qualify for a $250 grant for your new garden. Start thinking spring and join us at the Blue Thumb Workshop. Blue Thumbs up!
We'd like to remind residents about winter parking restrictions. There is no on-street parking allowed between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. from November 1st until April 1st. This ordinance was enacted to facilitate snow removal and to enhance public safety. Violators are subject to citations, towing, and impoundment of vehicles.
Hi, I'm Patty Rudy. I'm the Recreation Program Coordinator here at the Heritage Center, and today I'm here with Mike Paul, who teaches our technology classes here at the Heritage
Patty.
Center. Hi, thank you for coming today.
You're welcome.
So, Mike, tell me a little bit about your background and.
Yeah, so I describe myself as a lifelong geek. So I'm 27 years old, and I've been teaching and playing with gadgets for my whole life. When I was in 5th grade, I taught my 5th grade teacher how to use her computer. So fast forward, in high school, I took computer classes. In post-high school, I worked for Apple for almost 5 years. And now, for the last few years, I've been running my own business called Nice Guy Technology, where I educate consumers how to use gadgets. So I go to senior centers, I go through community ed, I go to people's homes, and I help them learn how to use their technology.
Good.
So I've taught over 275 iPad classes in the last 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just got done teaching a class
Yep.
today. Tell me why these classes are in demand.
You know, the classes are really in demand right now because the last couple of years, people have been adopting the iPad at an incredible rate. So Apple's selling millions of iPads, and a lot of parents, older parents, are getting iPads as gifts for like Christmas, birthdays, or sometimes the younger kids like myself will force the iPad kind of on our parents. We'll be like, hey, Mom, Dad, instead of buying a new computer, you know, it's cheaper to get an iPad. I think you'll like it better. So we kind of really encourage iPad, and that's what's happening is a lot of these students that come to class, they're telling us in the first class that they got it as a gift.
Okay. So people, when they come here, they don't need to know anything about having an iPad or what to do.
No, so we have students who will, I always ask people in the first class, how long have you had an iPad? And somebody raised their hand and said, I just got it like 2 hours ago at Target. So they had never even opened the box. And then we have students who have owned one for 2-3 years, and they've never got any sort of formal education. So they've been just kind of kids, grandkids will show them, oh, do this, but they really want to know how to properly use the iPad.
Okay. And how many different kinds of classes do you teach
Yeah,
here?
so right now, this school year, in the 2013-2014 school year, I'm offering 4 different iPad classes. They're 2 hours apiece.
Okay.
We cover a wide range of topics from like turning it on and just putting apps onto it. We talk about checking email, surfing the web, music, videos, photos, all sorts of topics. So 4 different classes. If you're new to the iPad, I would recommend you start with the first class and then you just take them in order. But you can skip around. So sometimes you're out of town one week and you can't come to the second class, so just skip that, come to the third class, and you can always catch the second one again in the future.
Okay, so I don't need to take them in order?
You don't have to take them in order, but I would recommend for people who are brand new that they do come to the very first class if possible.
Okay, and if I want to come again, can I come again?
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of students have found that they will take the class the first time, they will learn a bunch of stuff, they go home and they practice. I send an outline on my website with a bunch of videos and information so they can go home and actually hear me talk about it again and watch me do it. They go home and practice, and then a few months later they may come and take the class again, and everyone who takes it a second time will say, oh, I learned so much more the second time. And I think it's partly because you have more experience, but partly I do have roughly a 2.5-hour course material for a 2-hour class. So I always rotate new stuff kind of into those topics. So people get a new experience each time.
Good. Okay. So what does a typical class look like? Is it hands-on? Is it question-answer?
Yeah. So it depends. Each session's a little unique. The first class is going to be a little bit more informational, like explaining like what the buttons are and stuff. And towards the end, it's a little bit more hands-on, where we'll practice doing stuff. And then the second and third class are very hands-on. We're going to have me up at the front showing you how to do something up on the screen, and then I have samples or examples that they can do. So then everyone is adding Jane Appleseed, for example, to their address book, and that they get 5-10 minutes to do that, and then I walk around and help them if they have problems, and then we move on to the next topic. So it's very hands-on, and then there will be some lecture and discussion as well.
Okay. All right. And what about the reaction from students? What kind of comments do you get?
The comments are super positive. People seem to love the classes. Oftentimes people will be, they want to check out a new instructor, a new class, so they'll just sign up for class 1, and by the time class 1 is over, they're like, is there still room in the other classes? And they're hoping that they can get in. I get tons of positive comments. People will say, oh, it's exactly what I was looking for. I don't learn well from reading a book, or my kids or grandkids have tried to show me, but they go too fast, and they just grab the iPad and want to do it for me, which is very common. So they like the fact that they can come into the class, have someone show it, and then give them time to actually practice it and give them a chance to ask questions if they're having trouble. So the feedback's been great.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
And we have some classes coming up. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah. So I just finished a set of 4 classes here at the Lakeville Heritage Center, January and February, and now we're going to repeat the classes starting in April. And those will be in the morning 9 to 11. I'm not sure the exact dates, but you can check out the website. Or in the hallway there, they have a bunch of sign-up sheets that you can check out.
Good, sounds good. Okay, well, thank you for
You're
coming.
welcome.
And yeah, as always, I've heard great things about the classes too, so
Yeah, thanks.
we appreciate you being here. Thank
All
you.
right.
We are proud to announce that we have a new name. We will no longer be called the Lakeville Seniors. Our new name is the Lakeville Area Active Adults. The Lakeville Area Active Adults are members who are age 50 and over, and we are always looking for new members to join. We have a lot of fun here at the Heritage Center. Members enjoy many benefits and can sign up for activities including trips, classes, seminars, chorus, dancing, social groups, legal consultation, technology classes, yoga and exercise classes, oil painting, sewing, bingo, cards, special events, and much, much more. On Tuesday, February 25th, we will be having a program entitled The 5 Wishes Healthcare Directive. Did you ever want to give a gift that money cannot buy but will have a huge impact on your loved ones? Then give the gift of a healthcare directive. Come and be educated about how to have these discussions with others and figure out what you want and need. The format is easy to understand, written in language that everyday people can understand. The 5 Wishes Healthcare Directive has been seen on the Today Show and Good Morning America. It has been called the first living will with a heart. Come be a part of this wonderful, lively, and educational discussion. On Tuesday, March 4th, we will be having a program entitled A Fond Farewell. Statistics show that 70% of us are unprepared in one or more areas of personal responsibility in planning. This seminar will give options as to what you need for funeral arrangements, new laws about what you can do for funeral arrangements at home, how to compare apples to apples when comparing costs. Come and be educated about innovative, creative, and proper funeral pre-planning. Think about what you want and need, then come to the seminar to get information to communicate your wishes to the ones you love. Please sign up by February 26th. On Tuesday, March 18th, we will have a glass blowing tour in Minneapolis, which includes lunch. We also have a 9-day trip to Glacier National Park and the Canadian Rockies by train, departing on July 15th. Enjoy the beautiful scenery aboard an Amtrak train on your way to Montana and the Canadian Rockies, while making many memorable stops along the way. This is a destination that is not to be missed. Got a new iPad you don't know how to use? iPad classes are beginning again on Thursdays in April. A series of 4 different classes are available for sign up now. Like to scrapbook? We have a new group for scrapbooking and recycled cards. This new group creates scrapbook pages, unique cards, and crafts and meets on Mondays in March on the 3rd, 17th, and the 31st. If you'd like more information about the Heritage Center, please stop by any day of the week. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and we'd be happy to give you a tour. We're located across from City Hall at 20110 Holyoke Avenue here in downtown Lakeville. If you're interested in this iPad class or any of the classes that we offer here at the Heritage Center, please feel free to call us at 952-985-4620 or visit our website at www.lakevillemn.gov.
Now it's time for the answer to today's trivia question, which is, how many miles of streets are plowed by the city after a snow event? If you guessed B, 260, you would be correct. We remind residents not to park on the street right after a snow event and to keep garbage cans out of the street so drivers can effectively remove snow from the roadway. Here is a look at some of the upcoming public meetings that you can attend at City Hall. The City Council will be meeting on Monday, March 3rd at 7 p.m. The Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Committee will meet on Wednesday, March 5th at 6 p.m. The Planning Commission will hold its meeting on Thursday, March 6th at 6 p.m. And the Finance Committee, which meets at the Water Treatment Facility, will meet on Thursday, March 13th at 7 p.m. For more information on government meetings and the role of our boards and commissions, visit the city website at www.lakevillemn.gov. That's it for this edition of Lakeville City Limits. Thanks for watching. If you experience a problem with your cable TV service here in Lakeville, you should first contact Charter Communications at 1-800-581-0081. If you do not receive a satisfactory response, you can call the city at 985-4407 and we will assist you in resolving your problem. And just a reminder, you can see all of our programming online on the city website at www.lakevillemn.gov. Thanks again for watching this program and all of the programming here on LG TV.